Okay, why? Well, good. I'm glad I inspired someone to get into the game. That was a I mean, I might be dating myself a little bit here, but that game was out when I was a kid, and at the time, I didn't really understand Dungeons and Dragons. I don't even think I realized the game was based on Dungeons and Dragons. And so like knowing the rules and how all of that works is just like it just flew over my head. I actually, you might be able to see it over my. Why can't I figure this out? Over my shoulder there, those books right there. That's the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons rule set that Baldur's Gate is based off of. I've had those books for a long time. Used to play a little bit at lunch during school, but never really like got that involved with the old rule set. Um, And I'm hoping to keep playing if I can beat the first game. The really cool thing about Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is after you beat the first game, you can take your save from Baldur's Gate 1 and load it into Baldur's Gate 2. So you'll get to keep playing your character through the entirety of Baldur's Gate 2. And from everything I have heard, Baldur's Gate 2 is supposed to be one of the best games ever, right? It's like highly rated, at least like in the RPG type of games. And that's definitely a game I have not played through, so I'm really trying to beat the first game before I get into the second game. Yes, Siege of Dragonspear, I think. Actually I'm not sure if I have that or not. I assume I do. I'll have to look. But I'm sure I do. I've had these games for a minute now. Okay, I think we are live on the YouTubes, so that is good. Hello, my YouTube viewers. Oh, hey, Jaden. I'm not, oh, I apologize. Is my YouTube still set to gaming? Uh-oh. I may have screwed up. Uh, Jaden, I play Baldur's Gate, the original Baldur's Gate game, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe sometime during the weekend. But I'm mostly a C++ slash just general programming live streamer, or trying to be. I'm still kind of new. So I'm doing some programming today. So I apologize if I did some confusion there, because it's very possible I accidentally left my stream under gaming. Nope, no, I think we're good. We're under science and technology. That's okay, cool. But yes, I'm just last night I was playing Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, and it was going really poorly, right? And those who were there saw it happen. I just kept dying and dying and dying. But eventually, I persevered. And I found a cleric that was petrified and was able to undo the petrification for a mere 500 gold. And this cleric's a badass. So I am extremely excited to continue this playthrough tomorrow. But for tonight, hey guys, tonight I am continuing the adventures of Awen, the game engine I'm developing for my Briarthorn game. So just trying to get some of the typical pieces you need for to get started on actually making a game. So graphics, event handling. Is that it? Some UI layout stuff probably. And then I want to swap over to using the game engine to actually build the game. So tonight, what I'm going to do is continue looking at the events, and I kind of want to just show how I use AI during my actual job. I want to show how I can use AI to do a little bit of code reviewing to maybe not be like, hey, tell me what to do, but more like, hey, tell me what I missed, or what are some other things I could potentially consider to solve my problem? Am I like, is there a potentially better solution that I'm not thinking of, or has slipped my mind, kind of thing? So I think that's where we're gonna start. So let's go ahead and switch over to some programming. And to start, I think I want to make sure I have... Oh, I was sketching. I don't need this file anymore. I'm on main. Make sure I'm up to date. Make sure my project builds, configures. Builds. Sweet. All right. So I believe I left off having done this, right? So when I press a keyboard, I can start typing. So we are receiving keyboard events, but I've noticed something. When I press, for example, F1, nothing's happening. F2, nothing's happening. Home, delete, end, page up, page down, left, right, up, down, caps lock, tab. Oh, the tilde, apparently you call it grave. Who knew? Shift isn't working, control, window, oh, window isn't working, space works, control right doesn't work, shift right doesn't work, slash works. So as you can see, there are certain, oh, escape works, go figure. There are certain key presses that are not being registered. And I think I know what's going on. Magic enum here. This is a third-party library I pulled in via VC package. It handles automatically serializing, deserializing, and enumeration into a string. It's basically reflection for enumerations. But by default, the range of values it supports for its enums is a lot smaller than the values that Raylib is providing me for these keys. And so I'm pretty certain I have to tell Magic enum to go larger. Which means I need to figure out just how big Raylib is defining these. 336. So I'm thinking if 336 is the highest, I might round up to the nearest binary value. So what is that, 512? Hey, Jan. Currently, the libraries I'm using is in this vcpackage.json file. So anything I list here using the VC package manager is very, like, seamless. All I have to do is configure CMake, and it will automatically download the source code to these libraries and automatically build it for the compiler flags that I have set up for this project, and then automatically give me the CMake script needed to find these packages and link them into my project. So currently, Raylib for graphics, gtest for unit testing, which I have had so much more success using it professionally using gtest than any other testing library. Now, to be fair, it's probably been like 6 years since I've tried a different testing library. So I'm sure other testing libraries probably have features I'm not even aware of at this point. But gtest integrates so well with CMake and software pipelines that it's really hard for me to like switch over to something else. And gtest and CMake is what makes it possible for me to just come into a unit test and be like, hey, I just want to run the test. Boom, it tests. The test ran, it passed. Cool, right? PAL sig slot. So I don't know how many C++ people are out there who are familiar with like Boost and all the libraries that Boost provides. Well, one of the libraries that Boost provides is a very well-known, well-used, well-tested library called Signals 2, which is a signals and slot implementation. but it's very like if you've ever looked at boost code, it's very macro heavy. So PAL sig slot is someone else's implementation of signals and slots that roughly mimics the boost API. So I'm just using it because I'm very familiar with that type of API without the need of pulling in like half of boost to get there. And then magic enum is literally what it is. It is freaking magical. I'm able to, by sheer including its header, I'm able to use reflection on enumerations, which is making this line right here possible. For event, magic enum values, pass in my enum type, and it lists all the types. Except, as you guys saw, some of the events aren't present. And the way Raylib works is like as you iterate over these enum values and you cast them to an integer, because Raylib is all integer based, and I'm checking if a key is pressed or released. Well, clearly some of my events aren't getting reflected. So I need to figure out how to fix that. And I know Magic Enum provides a way to define like a min and right here. Magic enum range min, magic enum range max. Since I'm only using positive values, I think I can grab these and just do like 0 to 512. And you have to define it before you include the header file. So we'll do something like that. And if this works, I should have all of my enumerations back. And it's magic enum is also what's making it possible for me to do printing what's being pressed using standard format. Standard format, key press, magic enum name. All of that's possible because of magic enum. All right, let's see if this works. So we still have the normal keys. Left. Oh no, it's not. It's not giving me a name. I'm pressing left, right, up, down, and nothing's happening. I'm pressing all the function keys. Oh no, it can't turn them into a string. You're failing me, Magic Enum. You're failing me. At least the events are being received, so that's a good thing. That's a Control Alt Shift Caps Lock Tab. Cool. So we're getting some of it working. It's not wanting to serialize into a string though, which is surprising. So I would expect this to work. Yeah, yes, Dark, you're correct. It's I believe it's just like Rust's cargo. The difference being Rust comes with cargo and it will work, out of the box on all your platforms, whereas with C++ being its own standalone thing where it doesn't provide a package manager, you gotta kind of manually pull it in and get it set up yourself for it to do the same thing. All right, but legitimately, what the heck? 323. I would have expected that to work. So let's make sure I can at least cast this to an integer. Let's do... Okay. Okay, so it is receiving the values. It's just failing to serialize them to a string. Because this is up, down, left, right. Tab. Control. Alt. So that's good. Just doesn't want to convert it to a string for me. It's being a jerk. Well, I mean, programmatically is really where I need the functionality, so I'm not too stressed that it's not printing to a string. So I think that's good enough for now. So I'm going to go ahead and stage that. The next piece of this puzzle is handling the events themselves. Because right now I kind of did like a little shortcut where I'm only processing the events on root node. Now, eventually I want to get to a point where the events are being received by nodes that have focus. I don't 10 SD. I'm not sure what you're saying. You thought it was just you brute forcing code? No, I mean if you're talking about like what I'm doing, I mean that's part of development, right? Sometimes you got to brute force. Sometimes you have one day to get a feature out the door and you don't have enough time to just sit there and come up with the most perfect, the most beautiful, the most well documented piece of code. Sometimes you just write what you got to write to get it out the door, right? And a lot of times for me, I like to approach programming as like iterative, and what I like what you would call iterative development. And you might see that I will just dump a bunch of code out and then maybe later come back and be like, oh, I've had a cool idea. Let's refine it. Let's make it easier to use. Now that I have a better idea on how I'm going to use my code, we can do a little bit of refactoring to make it a little easier, to make it streamlined. Now there's always a risk, right? And I have fallen into this trap over and over. And you know, if I stream enough, you will eventually see this happen if you haven't already seen this happen, where I get caught up on just wanting the code to be the best it could possibly be. So I'll just keep refactoring and then never make any progress, right? Like that's kind of the problem with making a game engine is you'll spend all this time making an engine to build something with it, but then you never build the thing that you're going to use it for, right? And so it becomes this like cyclical loop, and that becomes an issue. Let's see here. I think there we go. All right. So the step I need to solve here, and I don't know if anyone's familiar with how like UIs work. Let me see if I can do the old programmer / streamer trick with Microsoft Paint. Hey, Mystery, how's it going? I'm gonna switch over to desktop, I think. Everyone see this? And I'm going to fill this in with black. But basically, how's that come across? That's not bad. Maybe a little thicker. It's a little better. So if I have a window, and that window has different like panels in it, right? And in those panels, you might have, say, a scroll bar. I wonder if I should get one of those draw pads or something that I can do all this with, because I am terrible at drawing with a mouse. Oh yeah, and I am not infallible when it comes to perfection is the enemy of good. Doing a bit of ray tracing, but in MATLAB to visualize stuff to be sure. Cameras. Oh my gosh, MATLAB ray tracing in MATLAB. I've had to use MATLAB not very much in my career. but I like for school I remember using it. And then I've also used it for like auto-generating C++ code and I think it's with a tool called Simulink and not fun. Not fun. But anyway, you're gonna have like these panels, right? They're essentially widgets. Oh, I just realized vertical people can't see me. Hang on. This is stand by. I'm going to add this to source. How do I do this? Add window capture. Paint capture. Okay. Paint. Windows. Clan area. Okay. We're getting somewhere. All right. Stand by. We're going to figure this out. Or I'm going to figure it out, and you're going to watch me struggle. What if I do this? If I do that, you can't see. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, so now I need to add this to my vertical scene so my vertical peeps can see this. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube and you're watching like the vertical, the top down, just like a what do you call it? Like a YouTube short. I am also streaming horizontally, just like a standard 16:9. It is also available on the channel. Looks like you got 3. I only have 2 monitors. I need to get 3 monitors. But my monitors are like 27-inch, so if you see me looking like here, that's where I have the coding screen. And then you see me look over here, that's still the same monitor, but it's like where I can have a second window up on the same monitor because they're like massive 27-inch monitors. And then when I'm looking over here, it's my OBS setup where I'm trying to like get all these scenes figured out. And there's got to be a better way to do this. I don't know what it is. I need to add a source, window capture. But apparently my vertical on YouTube is where a lot of people stop by, so I do want to keep it up to date. Okay, oh my god. Now I gotta look over to the far right. That's probably good. Alright, that's probably good enough. Let's move this over here, I suppose. Cool. Oh yeah, I have other monitors for another computer. I just don't have enough space right now, so I'm still trying to get that figured out. But the draw pad I think is going to be very useful. I actually saw a live streamer who was doing drawing, but like on the display. So they weren't using paint or anything. It was just literally like on the display that looked kind of cool. I kind of want to try that out at some time. You're not wrong, Devtron. I definitely need to follow some tutorials. But anyway, with my event handling, I have essentially what's going to be nested drawables, right? So this big window here is kind of like the root node. It's your window. And then these guys here are going to be children of this window. Whereas this guy here is a child of this panel. And these guys here are children of this big panel, right? So if I have this list of nodes where it's like, hey, here's the root node. It has 2 child nodes, and then the first child nodes has 2 button nodes, and then this node has a scroll bar node with a draggable button. I essentially need to do like intersection tests for like mouse events from the bottom up, depth first, if you will, and start like right here. And then if it doesn't intersect, then I know I'm not in its parent and I'm not in its parent. So I can kind of do like a poor man's quad tree by just doing intersection testing on the deepest children. And then maybe down the road, if I truly needed the optimization, I could set up an actual quad tree to bucket all of these nodes. But that's way too much work. I just want to get something up on the display and working so I can actually make my game. Ooh, a touch display. I'll think about that. So that's what I want to try and get implemented today. Is just be like, hey, let's do a depth first intersection test, and if that fails, then we can basically cross out an entire subtree of children that it doesn't belong into. Now, we could end up in a situation. Can we end up in that situation? Because let's say if I click here, then this clearly hits. But if I click here, then it would fail the deepest child, but it would succeed here. So I guess I can't just cross out the entire subtree. So that might be wrong. So I got to think about that. Because I could click here, and then no children are correct. So maybe it's just simpler than that. Maybe it's just literally do a reverse intersection test on the children, and if they succeed, great. If not, then you just keep going up the tree. I think that's what we do. And we might need a Boolean to dictate whether the event has been handled or not, because if I click a button and this button handles that event, that click event, then it does not necessarily need to propagate to like its parent widget, if you will. I think that's how I want to do this. Okay, let's give that a shot. What happens if I minimize? Sweet. And if I maximize, it comes back. Cool. So let's do that. Let's make you guys a little bigger on the display here. You deserve to be a little bigger. All right. Yeah. Okay. So the cool thing is I do have a way to recursively get all the children, and then we could reverse iterate. But if we did that, is that okay? So we process events. So we have a list of events that we need to forward into here to do event handling. Yeah, maybe I don't want to do that. Trying to think. If I do a depth first traversal here, that means I can I basically don't process the event for this node until the event has been processed for its children. Is it that simple? Is it really that simple? Could I just do this? So here we loop over my children. So can I shrink this? Did the AI read my mind? Where do you? Oh, the are you talking about the autocomplete? Yeah. So the AI autocomplete that I think comes with a GitHub Copilot. It can grab context, right? It can see how you've written code up until this point, and so it can make a very good guess based on all the coding that it has trained on to be like, oh, this guy is trying to do a for loop before doing event processing. Chances are he's probably wanting to iterate over his nodes just like all of the other functions that are very similar, right? I'm just so used, like, this is, if AI like code generation fails and all that and it goes away, I hope this, at least this, the autocomplete stays, right? It is so nice to be able to just tab and have it spit out what you were going to write anyway. Like, I was literally going to write this anyway. It does. It saves a lot of time, and it might be like a couple seconds, tens of seconds here or there, but if you do that over the course of like an 8-hour day, a 40-hour week, 180-hour month, right? So much time. And sometimes it's like, man, I know generally how I want to implement it, and then you start to type, and it goes brr, code generation goes burr, and it's like, oh, that's perfect. That is how I would have wanted to write this eventually. Not always. Sometimes it gets it wrong, but the times it gets it right, it's like, oh, this is awesome. But yeah, so I think will this work? So I go in, let's say I click on a button. Let's undo these. I click on a button, but we start at the root node, so we're at the window. So we enter events, and then it loops over the children of the window, which are just these two panels. And it does the first child. I don't know if it really matters until we need to optimize which child it does first, because again, if we needed to, we could do a quad tree. But we're talking like, I don't foresee using like hundreds of UI elements here. We're talking like tens, maybe tops. Even if we were doing hundreds, performance would be negligible. So we would nest our child. So we're in this child, and in this child we're doing event handling, but we process the event of the child first. Yeah, I think this will work. And then I think what we need to do is maybe handle a Boolean to determine if we need to keep going. The other option is I could put a field on the event for like handled or ignored. Oh yeah, I mean, if you're trying to learn stuff, I'm biased because I was raised on figuring it out, right? And Stack Overflow. I grew up, professionally speaking, I grew up in the time period of utilizing Stack Overflow to get answers to problems you just do not have the answers to, and then waiting a couple of weeks for someone to flame you and then still never getting the answer. Yeah, I totally get that. But having been doing this for over 15 years, minimum 40-hour weeks for 15 years straight, it is kind of nice to not have to type the same thing over and over again. So if an event gets handled, then that's like an early exit condition. And I just want to break out of this loop. Is that how I want to do it, though? Where would I store the flag if I didn't do it that way? I would want to store it on the event itself. But currently, I'm using a variant to store all my events. I could just literally add a Boolean to all of these. No, because then I don't think I can generically test. So let's keep it simple, silly. Let's try a Boolean. Let's see what that looks like. Ooh. How do I do a return type with these signals? Uh-oh. Trying to decide. I don't know what to tell you, DK. You're gonna have to figure that one out yourself. I do accept people with brains in this channel. Disconnect if copy on write. I honestly don't remember. Maybe I can just try. Like normally, if it was like a standard function, we could just do like bool, and maybe we still can. Does this compile, or at a minimum, it'll tell me like an error. Okay, cool. So I think then I can do bool. I can return. Does that work? Return event. What? Return cannot convert from void to bool. Oh, it thinks I'm taking a boolean as a parameter. Oh, crap. Does this not handle return values? Oh, no. To the documentation. Does this not handle return? This is going to be rough. I might have to come up with a different solution. Signal chaining. It's not a good sign that this library doesn't have an example for returning a value. Oh, I see an example folder. Lambdas. Crap. Rutro. I'm not seeing anything that tells me this library supports return types. But that's okay. We have other options. But what are those options? I'm not a fan of passing in non-constant references as like an output value. So I could store it on the event itself, but that means I can't use pass by value. It means I won't be able to use a variant, or I guess I could. Does that compile? I could just keep like a almost like a stack of booleans, or even just a temporary boolean as a separate value under node. And then anytime an event is handled, I could still have this function return a boolean. What's my opinion on Rust? I have no strong opinion because I have not written a lick of Rust. I have used it. I have compiled third-party libraries with it and then linked those libraries into a C++ project just fine because Rust uses the same C API, like the same memory space as C APIs, right? So no strong opinion one way or the other. Maybe someday, if there is enough people clamoring for a C++ veteran to try and play around with Rust, then I wouldn't be opposed to it. I do like the idea of having one language, one tool chain, one package manager that works on everything. That really appeals to me. That's part of the reason I really like Dart and Flutter, is because I can build cross-platform applications literally by just going into VS Code and installing an extension and be like, hey, give me Flutter, install it from here, and then I can do like Control-Shift-P, new project, and boom, I get a new Flutter project, right? That's awesome. And I can do that on any platform. So that really appeals to me if Rust is capable of that as well, but being a systems language. So that sounds cool. I just haven't used it. There's definitely, I think, a good need for it. Especially like, how do I say this? Because it is a lot harder to shoot yourself in the foot by default. I think it's a much better like barrier to like it's an easier language to enter systems programming and feel relatively safe that the code you're writing isn't going to just go off and blow your computer up, right? You're not going to accidentally hell no. You're not going to accidentally cause like a memory leak to consume 30 plus gigs of memory because you're a junior dev 10 years, 15 years ago and cause your system to crash or lock up, right? Because none of us ever write code like that. So yeah, I like it definitely has its place. I don't hate, you know. All languages are it's honestly just like whatever motivates you to write code and get into programming, I think is the way to go. I mean, hell, I started out on BASIC on a TI graphing calculator. And if you're like if you're used to seeing the the influencers speak on C++ and how miserable it is, I mean, there's some truth to it, right? But a lot of the times, from my observation, it's coming from a place of having only used C++ for a couple of years, and C++ evolves, right? It gets better. All languages hopefully get better over time, right? So what we're complaining about today isn't necessarily what's going to be the problem a few years from now, kind of thing. And I have never had any issues solving any problem with C++. Nor have I had any like, I don't know. A lot of the things that I see influencers complaining about C++ is just not something I've ever had to deal with or observe in over 15 years of doing it. So, I don't know. Commodore VIC-20. Oh my gosh. I learned I did like other than the graphing calculator, I learned basic. Like I took I think back in ninth grade in high school when they didn't really teach any kind of programming languages. It just so happened that like a math teacher at the high school knew a little bit of programming, and so I signed up for a class and it was basic. So that's where I learned how to do like a bubble sort, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. You can sort a list of elements in within two loops. That's crazy. What to do? What to do? Even when I'm doing comments, the autocomplete's kind of nice because it helps me like figure out. It helps me think about the problem I'm trying to solve. Um, so I could. I really need to store this boolean on the event itself. Can't just do like a single boolean because different events are going to get handled differently and maybe get passed on. I could. What could I do? Okay. So I can store it on the event, and I could do it here. Why do I keep hitting P? And this would be like, no, so we don't want handled here. So then it becomes if the event does get handled, Ooh. Yeah, because then I bet there's a way that I can do something like const auto handled equals, is it it already knows. It's going to be something like this where I loop over it, and I could probably do like standard any of, maybe that's what it is. Standard any of loop over visit standard any of nodes. There's a way to do this. I have done this before. Where did I do this? I think, oh man, do I have this in GitLab? Hang on. But I think there's like a way I can basically visit and collect the value from the enums. Authenticator. Are you kidding me? How's that wrong? Am I signing into the wrong? Let's try this again. Okay. Am I signing into the wrong user? Oh, I am. Whoops. Okay. One more time. There we go. Question is, where did I do that? Okay, here's some source code. Where did I do this? Where did I do this? Was it this? Yes, this is it. So, oh, it's just literally, okay, so I can just do a visit and return handled. How did I do that? It's a lambda. So I visit with a lambda and return. Okay, I'm going to try this. When was the last time you turned all the extra features off in your IDE and just coded like a text editor? Do you mean like without without like IntelliSense? And without being able to like mouse over it and see like documentation and code definition and the auto keyword resolution, all that stuff? Never. The only time I've ever had to really the only time I've ever coded without any kind of like IDE help or guidance or hints when I was a kid doing HTML4 because I didn't know better. I literally wrote HTML in notepad.txt and notepad and created .html files and then would load them in a browser and see if it worked. Maybe on Linux when I was like on a system that for whatever reason didn't have any tools and wasn't connected to the internet, and so I would just have to hunt and peck through like a Vim or Emacs editor. like a standard one without any like extensions or plugins or anything like that. But no, I've almost always had some kind of IntelliSense or LSP for coding. I couldn't imagine programming without it. It just helps productivity so much, in my opinion. I don't even know if that's an opinion. I can't imagine how it would slow you down, but I'm sure there's ways. But yeah, so I think it's just going to be a standard visit with a probably still have to do overloaded. Except here it's going to be like return event.handled. It's basically going to be this. Ooh, can I get away with this? Oh, we got to try this. This is going to be so awesome if I can just do this. Maybe I don't even need the overloaded. What if it automatically resolves to all the events, and as long as my event type has a .handled member variable, this will compile? Because if so, this will be huge and relatively simple to write. Because I could do this, and then only if it's not handled, do I actually start processing events. Oh my god. That would be miserable. I mean, I think I am comfortable enough with C++ that I probably wouldn't have any issues doing it, honestly. I can't imagine, like, even if I did, like, template stuff, if I kept the templates relatively simple, like, I don't think I'd have any issues. I would just lean on the compiler output to tell me if I got something wrong. I would still want, like, code formatting. I have automatic code formatting. I assume people have noticed at this point. So if I just start typing, I don't even bother formatting anymore because I just hit Control S for save, and then it will automatically format for me. That kind of thing. I bet I could do that. That'd be pretty easy. I mean, at this point, I've used C++ and the STL so much. A lot of it probably would just come second nature, I'm guessing. All right, I'm going to give this a try. We'll see how this works. So the only way this is going to be successful is I have to add... Now, do I go with handled? Ignored? I think handled's fine. I probably have to have these on here, otherwise it's going to fail to compile. Okay, so now all event types have a handled property. So let's just see if that'll even compile. Ooh, that's not promising. It didn't format. Right, that's because there's no event. Okay, so we just saw an example here of what an assist, like a tool assist, helped me with that I would not have caught until I compiled. I saw a red squiggly on standard visit, and it was like namespace standard has no member visit. Oh, right. I forgot to include the header for it. Doing this in a text editor would mean I would not have caught that at this point. I would have had to wait to compile the project. All right, let's see if this compiles. This will be sick if it does. This is freaking awesome. Sometimes programming is pretty sweet. Cool. So as long as my types... Now, okay, I do need to make sure this actually gets called for all the different types, but this wouldn't... I don't think this would compile if that wasn't the case. Okay, so now I can do if handled, just return. So now we get into this, we do a depth first search where we go into the children. So the root node has an event, then we go into its child, then we go into its child, and then its child. We handle the event. If the event, okay, so we check if the event has been handled or not. If it has, we leave. And go to the next child. It hasn't been handled. Or okay, it would be this one. We enter this child. We don't handle it, so it return, or like we get past handled is false. We process it. Handle remains false. So we jump back out. We go into the next child where it actually is going to handle the event. Handled is currently false, so we process it. It gets marked true. So then we jump back out. And now handled is true for the rest of... Oh, but we're passing by value. So this might have to be passed by reference. Passed by reference. So then if handle gets modified... Okay. This is passed by reference. So now if that event gets handled... I heard him move. Oh my gosh. He's just laid out on the floor right behind me. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, I'm getting hungry too. Just give me a few minutes, buddy. I need to finish this thought because I think I'm on a roll. Okay, so we handle the event. We don't handle the event. We keep going. If we handle the event, we exit early, which just kicks us back up the tree. So I think this is a good poor man's solution. This is not highly optimized by any means, and that's okay. I'm not looking to do any like heavy lifting here right now. And then this piece here, we're going to have to eventually figure out because it's going to require potentially some bounding boxes to do intersection testing, especially for like a button. But I think that's good. So how do I test this? You register an on event, you handle it, you mark it handled, and then you verify that the event you passed in is now handled. I think that's okay. Okay, I know how I'd want to test this. I'm going to start to write the test and see if the AI autocomplete does what I want it to do. Because I do want to make sure this gets... Oh, I'm not... Okay, wait a minute. We got to actually... did I ever implement overloaded for this project? Oh, I never implemented overloaded, guys. Overloaded is some template voodoo magic to make using or visiting standard visit with lambdas versus doing a bunch of like if const expr checks. So I need to add that. Overloaded.ixx. This is another one I had implemented somewhere. Where did I put that? Might be in my GitHub. For those who aren't aware of what I'm talking about, this exists in, I think, the CPP reference website. This is basically what I'm going to try and implement. Standard visit overloaded. Is there a CPP reference right here? Ooh, the screen's white. This voodoo right here. So we're basically implementing a class, and we are essentially defining these operators for every type for that class, and it gets instantiated via all the lambdas we pass in to this class. So instead of doing this if const expr branching logic, which is honestly not a big deal because it's compile time, but we're gonna do it here, which is a little cleaner, a little easier to understand in my eyes. So I want to try and grab my GitHub implementation, which I had working with modules. I totally know where that is. Not there. Maybe I had it in Awen at one point, and I got rid of it. I bet that's what it was. How do I find that? Whatever. I'll just copy and paste from this implementation. This should be relatively new. Explicit deduction not needed as of C++ 20. So it's saying I shouldn't need this portion, but I should still need this. I think this is all I need. Is that all I need? Really? Why did I spend a couple minutes looking this up in GitHub, a couple minutes looking at it in CPP reference, when all I needed to do was name my file overloaded.ixx and it would do it for me? According to CPP reference, I don't need this. We'll see how this works. So that gets added. Let's add it to here. And then we need to import it. Oh, wait, it's already being imported. Okay. So then the way this works is we'll do a standard visit. This is a good default. Oh, I mean, yeah, this is a good default. We just do this. After all that, I swear. What do we got? Could not find module. Whoops. I don't think this needs to be a graphics test because I'm not doing any. I think this just be a unit test. What is it? Event. Oh man. Oh no, I've been inconsistent with my naming conventions. We're doing capital letters, it looks like. Update signal, event signal is what I want. Event signal. What in the world? So what is this doing? It creates a node that's called to false. We want to make sure expect false, event handled, and then afterwards expect true, just to verify it's modifying the handled flag. This test probably will have to change at some point. Cannot convert an event keyboard to the variant. Probably because I'm using a reference, if I had to guess. Undeclared. Okay, that compiled. So let's run the test. Dude, what do you want? Oh my god, he's like pawing my back. All right. Let me. Why is this not showing up as a runnable test? Oh, I'm filtering it. Let's do alt tests. There we go. Run. Ooh. All right, I'll have to figure that out. My cat will not stop bugging me. I'm gonna go see what he wants, and I'm gonna go heat up some food. I'll be right back. Come on, dude. All right. So you guys know how like nerve-wracking having to like, especially during an interview where you're having to write code in front of someone, how stressful it is. That's what that's what coding while streaming feels like. I don't know what it is, but writing code is kind of personal. I totally get it. I totally get it. And you know, I've been in a position to like interview people as well. And I get it. Like even when I'm interviewing someone and I see how stressed out they are, like I don't hold it against them. I've been in the same position multiple times. I feel like coding while streaming, it's like putting your imposter syndrome on red alert. But not only that, you gotta like you just gotta constantly be like speaking your mind and letting people know what you're going through, or like what you're talking about and stuff. My favorite C++ coding interview question. Hmm. That I like to ask or that I like to be asked? Because I don't know about anyone else, but I like being asked questions that I'm confident I know how to answer without having to like think about it. Because then it makes you look good and it makes you feel good and it makes you feel confident, which makes the rest of the interview go well in your mind, which is awesome. And then the types of questions I like to ask, and I've talked about this already, it's more about like just trying to get a feeling for if this is a person I would enjoy working with and what kind of interest they have in learning and what kind of effort they put in to learn. So I might ask stuff like, what's your favorite language feature from C++ 11? What about 17? What, if anything, are you looking forward to in C++ 23 or 26? Especially for like a C++ position, it at least gives me an idea that like someone's aware that these language features exist. Hey, Epic, I'm taking a nom break because I'm hungry. But otherwise, I'm in the middle of implementing some event handling for my game engine. And it just occurred to me that all this typing I've been doing, my vertical watchers are probably Still left in the dark. See over everything. Yeah, I see that. A lot of people really like the idea of being able to see everything that is being invoked by the compiler versus like having things implicitly happen to you. Totally get that. But man, do you have to type so much more. I don't think I've used Launder in any code base. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't know. When was if const expr brought in? Was that 17? I feel like I wasn't able to do some of the things I got to do until after 17 because of if const expr. All right, what the heck? Why did that not launch? That's why. Wait, handled's already true? No, it's false. Why is it saying it's true? Yeah, yeah, you're right. 11 or 14. But I didn't like so I used to you guys familiar with oh, what's it called? It's this crazy acronym. Substitution is not a failure. Synaph or something like that. Basically, like using enable if for your templates. I used to work on a code base that had like a string conversion library for all the different types that you could possibly want to convert your string to, data structures, that kind of thing. And it was just like, it was template hell. It was 30 lines of enable ifs for a toString or from string function. And with more modern, like const expr, concepts, that kind of thing, I haven't had to use enable if since. And code is so much easier and cleaner to write now because of it. Is that actually saying it's set to true right now? Closed, true, pressed, false. Oh. I might not be able to do what I was... Might not be able to do what I wanted to do. What do you want, Cat? Yeah, there you go. Sifene. Substitution failure is not an error, I think is what that stood for. Top 10 C++ features. I think one of my favorite C++ features ever in the modern language is lambdas. I don't know what it is, but lambdas are just so freaking cool. I'm wondering if what's happening here, since a variant is just a union under the hood, is if this is getting treated differently based on the data that's initializing the variant. So I might have to actually explicitly handle the types, which is fine. So let's make sure handled returns false then, I guess. Okay, it's false. That's good. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this thing is just giving me bad data. So it sets that to true. Oh my god. Oh my god. No. I don't want to step through variant. Oh god. Okay. Whew, we made it out of there. I always feel like when you're debugging and you step into the STL, it's like opening the Indiana Jones scene where they open the Ark of the Covenant or whatever and it melts your face off. I feel like that's what it is when you accidentally like step into the STL header files. I haven't gotten to use deducing this yet too much. I want to come. I hopefully I'll come across a problem I can use it in this project because I am interested in it. CRTP, curiously recursive template protocol. When I first learned about that, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Immediately started writing classes with it, and then it was like, oh god, this is actually really complicated. It makes your code so much more complicated. How easy is Python for a beginner? I assume it's very easy. It's easy for me, with a caveat. I already know how to program. So if you know how to program, I think it's as easy as anything else. I think it's probably one of the easier languages to get up and running with, would be my opinion. Because you just literally just have to like go to python.org, download the tools, install them, and start writing Python. You don't have to worry about compiling. You don't have to worry about linking. You don't have to worry about unresolved external errors. You don't have to worry about accidentally stepping into the Ark of the Covenant. But to be fair, I think most languages you don't have to worry about that. I think that's a C++ special. For Python, I'm not the guy to help you there. I've only used Python professionally for a couple of years, and I didn't do anything crazy with it. I mainly use Python as kind of like a cross-platform scripting instead of using PowerShell or Shell. Oh, you know what? Am I... This is a copy, isn't it? Can you do a reference? Oh man. How do you do this? Well, even if I copy it, it's time to ask our AI overlords here. 'Cause I'm not sure. Is this possible, or do I need to explicitly handle the events in standard visit? Yeah, I'm not really sure about this one. Variant is one of those features I don't get to use that often. I don't think I've ever used it in a real code base. So I'm not 100% sure what you can or can't do with it. Hi, Trill. What are you doing? You have food. The garage door's open. I'm not sure what you could possibly want other than to bug me. What are you doing? The answer is yes, you can do it. So what did I do wrong then? So it is copying it into here. Is that what I did wrong? That's what I did wrong. So I copied it into the variant and then assumed I could still grab the modified value without grabbing it back out of the variant. Seems like is what it's telling me, which fair. What else did it do? Anything? I don't think it did anything else. It just, okay, so it was just my test that was wrong. According, oh, what did I do? Okay. Let's run this again. And it passes. Okay, so that's what I did wrong. I was thinking of it like a pointer. It's not a pointer, obviously. It's not a reference. So we copy event into the variant, then the event inside the variant is what gets modified. The event that was copied didn't get modified because it was copied. So we need to, in order to make sure this test passed, we need to make sure we grab the event back out of the variant. So that makes sense. Cool. So that's a one step closer to events working. So I think a cool visualization of my my paint drawing here is I bet I could quickly and easily get like a some rectangles drawing, and then if an event occurs, change the color of the rectangle, and then that would kind of prove that this is working as expected. Now, that will mean I need bounding boxes, but maybe I just throw that on the rectangle and handle the event that way. So let me see what this looks like. So if handled, if not handled, we keep going. And this was just there to test. We don't actually need this. So I think I get rid of it. Unless there's a generic way to do this. I don't think there is. Only if a root node is going to handle the event do I need to do anything here. Which maybe I will someday, but right now don't need it. Okay. So that test that I had is actually not needed. That was just kind of a sanity check. Okay. We can do that. Cool. Let's implement a drawable rectangle then. And then we can do some event testing to make sure like clicking in it works. Maroon? What? I didn't implement a maroon. Did I? Magenta, that's what I want. Magenta is like the standard. There's a bug in your graphics. Let's default it to magenta. We also need a setter and getter. You know, I used to be one of those C++ developers that always required this pointer to be used. And if I could, I would still do it. Because it just makes it very clear that you are referencing a member variable, a member function, that kind of thing. But the problem is it's not automatically enforceable. And so I didn't want to waste time in code review telling someone like, hey, you need to prefix everything with this. And anytime they didn't, have to call it out and do it over again. I prefer for things like that, those little like nitpicky things, to be automated. And so since I couldn't automate it, what I ended up doing is an underscore after the member variable. So now I can automate this and enforce it with Clang Tidy by just saying, hey, you have to have a suffix for private or protected member variables. And so then I don't have to spend any time worrying about it in review. You just have to do it, or your merge request doesn't pass. Magenta is not a member of Raylib color. I feel like that's a lie. I hate it when internet does that to you. That is so frustrating. I am I'm fortunate enough to be in an area where I have access to gigabit internet now. I've had it for maybe 2 years, I think. And before that, I was on what was I on? Cable, I think, because I was in an apartment before I got this house. So I was, I've gone through the whole cycle, right? I started off on dial-up, 28K or whatever, 28.8, whatever it was. Well, I don't think we ever did 56. I don't remember. Whatever, like downloading 2 kilobytes, 3 kilobytes a second. I guess we can figure it out, right? You just divide by 8. So from there, I then did DSL, which was like 20 megabits per second down, which was just insane to me. Like compared to dial-up and kilobytes per second down, like megabits per second down is just night and day the greatest thing that ever happened. You could download songs in a couple of minutes versus like hours. Just huge. And then where did I go from DSL? Maybe faster DSL? Because eventually you get up to like, I don't know, 100 megabits a second, something like that. Color, that compiled. Okay, so that compiled. We have a rectangle now. All this looks good. We need to do on event. This is insane. I am highly suspicious that the LLMs are listening to me speak. I gave it no hint as to what I was going to do, and it decided a mouse button press within the bounding box means it got handled. It didn't figure out I wanted to change color, though. So I have that going for me. I almost need this to be like... It almost needs to be like covered. We'll do that for now. And I also don't have mouse implemented, I don't think. I'm going to compile. Yeah, I don't have this implemented. That makes sense. I live in a somewhat forested area, and so anytime there's a storm, I basically lose power every time. I've really considered getting like a house battery or something to store up energy to uh hold me or like keep me powered until power comes back. All right, so I don't have mouse events implemented, so we need to do that. Event mouse. I have some of it implemented. Button press, button released. We need the actual button. Enum class. Okay. But we also need the mouse's position. I set... Oh. I just can't. Oh, man. I think it's listening. Okay. So then we need to process events. Is key pressed? We need to also do however Raylib. I don't. Is that right? Get mouse position returns a vector. Ha! It got it wrong. You were wrong. Oh, is position floating point? I'd rather just do that then. Let's do float. Save ourselves a cast. So then we need to do mouse button left, mouse button right, middle. This is equal to mouse button left, right, middle, side, extra, forward, back. Are there really that many mouse buttons? What do you do if you have see if I can show you guys. How do you handle all the extra mouse buttons when you have a mouse like this? That's my MMO gaming mouse. How do you handle all those events? Left, right, middle, side, extra, forward, back. I'm just gonna do left, right, middle for now. I don't know if I'm gonna be handling mouse events for my game like that. Left, right, middle. Does Raylib have events for this? No. Is pressed, is released. Event, key, or that's keyboard. Button is pressed, is released. That looks correct. Position looks correct. I think we're good. Is this Avatar? Hell yeah, that's Avatar. Event mouse button undeclared identifier because I think it's event mouse. If we are event mouse, I think that's not how I want to do this. Is that how I want to do this? I guess it is. If holds alternative event mouse. No, let's do like a get if because we're gonna need to use this. Auto e equals get if e is null pointer return unmodified. So then we don't need this. We don't need this. Becomes question. Classic vector example of adding an extra element that causes a vector to resize. There are more efficient ways to do it. I mean, there are ways to alleviate the cost of always doubling it. Usually it involves knowing what you're ingesting beforehand, and then you just reserve. You usually do a dot reserve vector, and you'll see that in a lot of code bases, like big code bases. Especially if they like having to process a lot of data, you'll dot reserve. I think I do that somewhere in here. And I'm not even like processing a lot of data. It's just kind of a good habit to get into. It's kind of like a guess, right? So here I'm doing get children, and my children is a vector of unique pointers. So I can't, or the way I'm setting up my API, I don't want to return like a constant reference of the unique pointers. So instead I need to return just the raw pointers. So I reserve before I do the operations because then it just saves a little bit of like allocating and deallocating over the course of adding and removing multiple elements. This here probably won't have a huge impact on anything I'm doing, but that is usually the solution. Now, if you're thinking like underlying implementation details on improving the performance, nothing comes to my mind. There might be like operator specific memory allocating strategies to handling those types of situations, but at that point you're really starting to deal with access patterns and more niche problems you're trying to solve, which means you're probably going to roll your own solution versus using a vector. But generally, no, like vector, it's an array. Like that's all a vector is. It's a pointer to an array on the heap. And if you need to grow it and it's at its limit, then you gotta double it or 1.5 it. I don't know if this is still true, but I think like GCC for Linux, it was 1.5, and then on Windows it was double, or vice versa. It was something like that. But both implementations did something different. But the general strategy was the same. Okay, so if we are an event mouse and it's button pressed and we are within our bounding box, change the color to green and say we've handled it. Handled is not a member of... Oh, whoops. Handled. Oh, no. Oh, God. Wall of text crits. Signal slot. No matching overload found. What did I do wrong? Oh, I'm doing a reference. There we go. All right, we're going to first try this. So let's create a couple of rectangles. Did I add rectangle to the module? So we have text. So I guess let's add the rectangles to root node. Auto rect 1. Sure. 100 by, or no, it's position. Sure, why not? We don't need to scale it. Ooh. We'll have to make sure scaling. Ooh, yeah, we're gonna have to make sure scaling works for the event handling and also probably rotation. Rect 1 set width, height, color. Let's just do that and make sure it renders. It renders. We have a rectangle. If I click on it, it turns green. We have event handling. You see that, Trill? Look, it's green. It's green. It's a button. Why are you running away? I don't understand. It's a button. What? What? What are you doing? Here, you want to say hi? Come here. You want to say hi? Hmm? Hi? It's a button. You see it? It's green. It's so loud. All right, I'm going to see what he wants real quick. I'll be right back, and then we'll keep going. He just needed me to walk him to his food. Okay. So the next thing is let's add some child buttons or rectangles. Let's call it, let's do this. Auto rect one child. Sure. Green's a bad color. Blue. Let's make it like 50. 50. And this is only going to be like 10. Shouldn't do this though. This is almost like an offset. What I really need to use is the root node's position. Like that. So I'll have to clean up that API because that's going to get confusing. That was confusing to me. Because set position handles the nested like scene graph. We got red, blue as a child. Let's try that. All the food. Okay. Cool. So if I click on blue, it should turn green, but red should stay the same. Shit. Oh, you know what? I'm out of water. I'm gonna go do a walk of shame, and I will be right back. Damn it. Did it fix itself? I'm guessing the answer is no. Okay. Dag nabbit. So that needs to be a test. Because if this was a test, this would have, like, and the test passed, we would have known what the issue is. So I'm going to copy this. I think so. Yes. So I actually talked to him yesterday. So the project, so he, like I said, he's got maybe a year or two of experience under his belt, maybe a year of full-time experience. He spent his internship working for me, but he has stayed in touch with me and has been strongly interested in continuing to learn from me. So I'm going to, and he was wanting to contribute to the GameEngine portion of this. He's going to probably look into what it's going to take to integrate a scripting engine into Awen. Leaning towards Lua, but I'm not opposed to doing a simplified, like, JSON, XML, YAML type of script, right? Where it's just no logic, you're just defining your types and parameters. And if we go that route, then I'm going to do something custom because I don't need anything complicated. But if we go with Lua, then it's going to need some know-how. I've never used Lua. And so I'm going to have him look into that. So Friday, not 100% sure of the time, probably 6:30 Eastern Standard. I'm going to have him hop on at least in Discord. I don't know if he wants to stream it himself or if he wants his camera on in Discord. I'll have to work with him to figure that out, but at least he'll be in Discord and I'll have like, the Discord chat bubbles or what have you. And we will talk about breaking down the problem and figuring out what pieces we need to understand in order to integrate a scripting engine into this game engine. Yeah. You're not wrong, Devtron. I do feel bad for those who have worked for me in the past. I haven't always been easy to work with. That has improved. So this is a bug, but a bug that a test should be able to solve. Actually, you know what? I'm curious. We're gonna have an LLM write the test, and I will give it the input. Let's do. That should be good enough. There is a bug with nested children and event handling for the rectangles. When I click on the inner blue rectangle, the parent red rectangle turns green when I expect the inner blue rectangle to turn green. Write a graphics test. Write a graphics test. Do I need a graphics test? I'm not drawing anything for the test. I'm just doing the event handling. So write a unit test to pass in a mouse event and verify the correct rectangle processes the event. Then let's figure out what the bug is. Because I want it to, hopefully, I want it to write the test first, because I'm almost certain the LLM could just look at the code and be like, oh yeah, here's the problem. But I want a test. So I'm going to try and have it write the test first. Maybe it'll fail, and then we can go debug it. We are modifying the event inside, like it's a pointer, so it's still like inside the variant. Oh. Is this logic actually correct? Well, we process the event for the children. If it's handled, return. If it's handled, return. Otherwise, keep going. So we make it into here. It gets handled. Handled is true. It's almost like it's processing the parent rectangle first. That shouldn't be true. Oh, wait. Where am I? How am I handling this in the window? Root node. Rec1 is a child of root node. Rec1 is a child of root node. Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are we handling... I think we're in the wrong coordinate system. I think we're in the wrong coordinate system. When we click on the blue rectangle, we're only using X and Y. We're not translating it to the global space. In event handling, or the window space, the event handling should be in the window space. So that's probably what's happening. The bug is clear. Node events dispatches event mouse to children without transforming the mouse coordinates into local space, mirroring what render does. Yeah. So, okay. Oh, wait, is it actually fixing it? Oh, dang it, I wanted it to write a test. Or did it? Oh, wait, did it write the test, find the bug, and then solve it? It also knew to add a spaceship operator to color. So it automatically added the spaceship operator so this could be compared. Or I did that. Okay, so this looks good. That looks good. So, oh man, that's going to be tough. This is basically translating the mouse event. How do I want to handle that? I guess it's fine for now. If not handled, restore the coordinates. No, 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 no. This is not the right solution. Okay. Yeah, I definitely got that wrong. Rectangle's a new class. It wrote a new test. Which I guess I can make sure at least passes with the current implementation, because then once I change it, I'll know it's still good. Okay, that passes. Oh, that did not pass. Expected true, actual false. Event keyboard. Oh, yeah, that makes sense because I'm not handling keyboard events yet. And that passed. Okay. So I need to figure out what to do about transforms. Because currently, I'm not really storing transforms like matrices on the nodes. I think the easiest solution to start with is going to be a function to do like no discard auto map to node map point from this node's local space to world space. And it's saying the world point is this node's position. Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. None of this is right. All right, this looks more like what I'm looking for. Ooh, I don't like the dynamic cast. That's not ideal. So we'll have to figure that out. I'll probably need another function on node for the node parent. But it's casting. That's awful. Why is it not like that? Okay, it's fine. It's just IntelliSense. Transformers. Robots in disguise. I used to love Transformers growing up. I mean, I still like Transformers, but I love them growing up. I had an older brother who had the original Megatron transforming gun, the pistol. And then we also had the original Optimus Prime transformer. My older brother also had like a giant box full of the original dinosaur transformers that I remember playing as a kid. And then when I was kind of old enough to really have my own transformers, Beast Wars was out. Had all the dinosaur transformers. I might still have some. I have to dig them out of a closet somewhere. Um, but yeah, had like the Beast War transformers, and then I think that was about all the Transformer toys I ever had. I moved on to Power Rangers after that. All right, this is starting to make me think I'm gonna need to start storing stuff as matrices to make this a little easier, because it will automatically like handle scaling as well. I think I won't have time to do it tonight. My night's almost over. I just want to get something that works because I wanted like map to node and then map to world, which would go up to like the root parent. What's the difference? Is this the exact same logic? No. Target is current. No. Wait, current is this. Oh, and target. We're targeting. So we're going until current is the target. Whereas here we're going where we're just going until we've reached our parent. Yep, that's what I want. Um, God, this is gonna be wholly inefficient. Wholly inefficient. Avert your eyes, people. I just want to see if this. I just want to get something working. Okay, so with that, With rectangle now, I should be able to do. No, 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 no. Events. Need to get rid of this. We could cache. I'll worry about later. I'll have to think about that. Rectangle. So now rectangle, we would do something like we have mouse X and Y. So we would map the global point to here, I guess. Second try. How do I have passing tests? This fails. Oh, well, this doesn't even work. I think I'm doing this wrong. You think? Map to node. Let's, well, this should be global position. Yeah, this is. Target is this, so it's just going to return. That's not what I want to happen. I want to map. Let's get rid of target, actually. So we want to map to. We want to map this point to this node, and this assumes the point is world space. Map world coordinates to this node's local coordinate space. Walk up the tree from this node to the common ancestor, applying inverse transforms to convert the point into world space. So while current is not null, let's see if that does anything. Rock on. Clicking, 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 clicking. Click on the edge and hell yeah. All right. So that's better than nothing. This I need to. I'm probably gonna have to redo the how we're doing transforms. I'm thinking at a minimum we probably want to cache them. That way we're not like constantly dynamic casting walking up a pointer tree for all of the nodes every time we want to map and handle an event. That's definitely gonna have to get fixed. But other than that, I think we've got some event handling working. Now, the node test that's failing with the keyboard events, that's because I don't have, like, there's not a position for a keyboard. So, I think that's just going to be dependent on the node being implemented that needs keyboards. So this test for now, I think I'm just going to shut off. I guess I can make sure these other tests are passing. 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 That looks good. Let's get some code cleaned up here, and then I think we will call it here. So let's make sure everything's formatted. I'll go ahead and leave that in there. I'm going to yell that about magic numbers from Clang Tidy, because Clang Tidy's a jerk. That's fine. That's what we want. And that's what we want. So let's hop over to our dev container. Don't think we need this anymore. Error declaration of red must be imported from module raylib color before it is required. Windows and letting you get away with stuff. Events must be imported. That makes sense. All of this makes sense. Let's just do it. Raylib.event. Is it events plural? No. Is it event? Events? God, I don't remember. Events plural. There we go. And then we can make sure it still runs on Linux and see if the events work. I'd be curious if the events actually work through WSL like this. All right. Vertical people aren't seeing this. Why are these vertical people not seeing this? Oh well, sorry, vertical people, you don't matter. Boom, boom. Events are working. Perfect. Perfect. All right, now the hardest test of all, Clang Tidy. How bad is it going to be? I'm aware of some magic numbers I wrote. Hey, Tom, how's it going? You've come in towards the end of my task today, which was getting some event handling working for nested nodes. Clang Tidy is getting me on a lot of stuff. Oh, that makes sense. If you're going to assign values to your other enums, then it's best you assign it to all of your enums. That's fair. That's a good one to call me out on. Calling me out on that still. Aggregate type, so I need to... where was I doing that aggregate type at? Rectangle? Yeah, right here. This needs to be dot x equals... That makes sense. All that's good. Calling me out on the same stuff. Oh, there's the magic numbers. How did I solve this last time? I just did a nolent begin for this block, and then nolent end. Called it a day. I think I'll still do that. All right, one more check for sanity. That changes green. That changes green. That looks good. Playing tidy go. Shores. Ooh, ooh. Oh no. All right, there's no way you're calling me out on a magic number. I don't have a choice. This is a third-party library. I have to use a macro. Freaking rude. Really, dude? How much do I care about magic numbers in my tests? I don't think I care. Oh, that's so dangerous though, because there is stuff I do care for it to check. Oh. What do I do? What do I do? Magic numbers. That's what it is. I'll just see. Oh man, I'm getting two different checks calling me out on magic numbers. CPP core guidelines and readability. Well, I'll show you who's the magic number. Can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. Nope, that's not what I wanted. All right, we'll see if that works. Where'd my output go? There it is. Okay. Clang tidy. Yep. Don't forget your PIMDOS or I guess BODMOS for your weirdos out there. Let's see. Okay, so it called me out on that. That looks good. Surely that's it. Clang tidy is passing. We can hop back over to Windows. Get this committed. Push that up. And I do believe that is going to be it for this evening. Just to summarize, worked on events a little bit more, got nested event handling working. It needs some more work. It needs more refinement, but I at least got it to where it's receiving the events properly. So that'll be huge for building up like GUI components and things like that, mouse dragging, so on and so forth. Which I don't necessarily need too much of right now for my game prototype. Um, Implementing circles, triangles, vertices, just general vertices, those kinds of things. We're definitely going to need for the aircraft, missiles, that so on and so forth. Yeah, but yeah. So I think, let's see. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow I will be back to Baldur's Gate to continue where I left off. We uncovered Branwen, which is a badass cleric who I think is going to immensely help my party not die all the time. I hope. We'll see. And then Friday, I currently have planned a previous employee of mine who is going to hop in Discord with me. And we're going to discuss what it'll take to integrate a scripting language and maybe figure out what scripting language we want to start with and whether I want to go with like a plugin based architecture to support multiple scripting languages. Currently leaning towards Lua. I've never used Lua, but it's lightweight and relatively easy to use and understand, as I understand. If we don't go that route, or maybe we go that route, and then in addition to, I might go with, because I still want the ability to define static data, and I just don't know if Lua is what you want to use for that. And if it isn't, then I want to think about something else. I know JSON is not what I want to use, but we'll see. But I'm going to have that discussion on Friday with my guest, and that will be 5:30 Eastern when I start, and then possibly 6:30 Eastern when he hops in, and we'll figure it out then. We'll have the entire discussion to figure it out and come up with a plan of attack, and we'll see where that lands us. But yeah, I think that is it, folks. Thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you next time. Bye.